Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another live session. As always, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate everybody showing up. And obviously, I'm here to spend time answering questions and we'll tackle everything today. So, before we dive in, let's just chat about a few items. So, let's start maybe with the title. This is kind of an interesting title considering the news that came out today, and we'll probably address the news about Google slowing down their hiring. We'll definitely be chatting about that today. So the title is very appropriate. Is it hard to get a job at Google? Well, it's going to start getting a lot harder as they probably put more of a lean. The note said more on engineering. Engineering is going to drive and fuel the business. More technical, that could really mean anything. And then obviously we all know there's a huge push from a revenue standpoint to grow cloud. But I think it's cloud and ads especially are really going to drive the revenue. So they're not going to really cut a lot of those roles, right? So we're going to take a step back for this platform, for these lives. We'll answer all the questions. So we'll go through it. We'll go in order. No reason to repeat questions. If you're unfamiliar with me, my name is Jeff H. Sipe. My business is practiceinterviews.com. We do interview coaching, negotiation coaching, and we have an interview mastery course. Now, if you sign up for the course just today, there will be a $100 discount. And this is the second time in a row that I'm forgetting what that discount code is. Okay, there it is. Sorry. It's just so silly. I keep forgetting what the code is. So if you sign up today for our interview mastery course until 11:59 Pacific time, if you use the code NOW, NOW in all caps, you get $100 off. Again, that's just for today. Let's dive in. If you like what we're doing today, smash that like button. If you've never subscribed, I do new video content every other Tuesday, and I go live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. I continue to tell the community that I'll go live a little bit earlier just to cast a little bit of a wider net. I haven't made that move yet, but I hope to make that pivot this year. Lastly, it doesn't just have to be questions. If you have any comments, feedback, want to just say hello, where you're coming from, please let us know. Okay, we're going to dive right in, and we will take the questions in order. Thank you so much for being here. You applied to a position at Google last night, got an email from a recruiter this morning saying he's sending my resume to the hiring team. This means we're bypassing the initial screening phone call. We don't have that data point. All we know is that they like something in your background, and with this hiring team, maybe they just like to look at resumes first before you get on that first recruiter call or have a first phone screen. So we don't know. We don't have that data point, but obviously, if you applied to a position last night and you heard back, that's awesome news. That's really, really hard. That does not happen very often. What could be the structure of a Gnl round for a Mech ENG role? What kind of questions can I expect? The Gnl interview is probably the most consistent interview at Google, meaning that because you're going after an ME role, it doesn't change anything. You're going to get the negative questions, unethical, conflict, something really challenging, the positive, mentorship, inclusivity, etc. You have to be ready for both sides of the coin, being able to tackle both negative and positive questions. And just understand that while these interviews do tend to lean behavioral, you can definitely get open-ended questions. And I would, if I were giving that interview, I'd focus in on open-ended questions. Last week you had a Gca round, next week Gnl. What's the difference between these? Well, there's a huge difference. Gca interviews are typically open-ended driven. There's randomness, and they're just very, very different interviews. Gca interviews, the guidance, and you've already done it, but I can just say it for the community. The guidance is to use CFAS and be very role specific in your answers. Hi, Jeff. Your recruiter finally informed you that you have cleared HC for an L5 TPM role at Google. Without asking my current expected comp, she proposed a base RSU joining bonus and annual bonus, which is only 60% of my current comp. What should I do? How do I navigate this negotiation? What would be a wise move after today's hiring slowdown announcement by Google? Just because there's a hiring slowdown announcement, I would not anticipate that people in the offer stage are going to be losing their offers. Okay, so I wouldn't want you to be too concerned about that. I do like a slow roll in negotiations. When we speed up the negotiation process, that tends to hurt us. Okay, 60%. Remember, what the recruiter is allowed to give you is the bottom of the barrel. What do I mean by that? They can plug into the system your level, the location, and the role, and it will spit out the worst offer they can give you. So is that 60% of current comp? Okay. Now, can you bring that up to 90 to 95%, maybe 100% of your current comp? Absolutely. Are you going to totally blow out of the water what you're currently making? It doesn't sound like it. But okay, so we're talking about an L5 TPM role at Google. So if you can come back and tell us location, I mean, these TPM roles, the baseline offers, we're getting 100, 120, 130 more than those initial offers. On TPM roles, you've got to anchor high. This role is very, very hot in the market. So come back with a big number. They drop their low anchor, you come in and drop a high anchor, and then you're going to have to push on this negotiation. And obviously, we have that service if you're interested. Gnl interview will be conducted by a technical person or non-technical person. Doesn't matter, be the same questions. Thanks for all your content. You've applied to 3 positions via referral. You've got 2 email rejections for 2 positions, but not for the third one. Is it a good sign? Are they hiring in the summer? You've applied for a sweet position in YouTube France. I know that generally France recruitments are quite slow, but I don't know if it's the same at Google. I mean, summertime can slow down a little bit just because a lot of people take vacation. I don't believe that SWE roles are really going to be impacted by what we've seen as the hiring freeze. I can't tell you whether it's a good sign that you still have one outstanding app or not. So you're just going to have to monitor it and keep track of it. But these are the types of roles that will have or be less impacted by the hiring slowdown. Currently a Googler in the Dublin office. I'm working in a sales position with a 15% bonus, and some changes are happening in the department. Okay. Basically, they want to move us to a sales plan with a 30 to 35% bonus, but decreasing the base salary. Is that fair? Should we negotiate it? Sometimes with these internal moves, it can be much, much harder to negotiate. So I can't really say what they're going to do. There was a major sales shakeup when I was there. I think it was 2015-ish. They really changed the sales model, and they lost about a third of the salespeople. They went from a very incentive-based to a more rigid, like quarterly bonus at that time. So this could end up meaning that they lose some people because of this change. How negotiable it is, I don't know, but obviously I'm always recommending to negotiate as much as you can, even on these internal items, but I don't believe it will be very negotiable. Good luck. Keep us updated. Come back and let us know what's going on there. Okay, Eddie. Remember, but you finished your interviews for a senior account strategist role in Dublin about 2 weeks ago. After the recruiter contacted me and said someone else was offered the role before I conducted my final 2 interviews. However, my feedback was really positive, and the HR and the hiring manager is waiting on headcount. My recruiter said that I expect to have headcount review soon. Update me 2 weeks. However, it could be days, weeks, and months. They don't know. Yep, this kind of stuff happens all the time. The only thing you can do is stay patient and just make sure you're checking in with your recruiter as often as possible. And of course, you want to build that cadence with them. Should I check in bi-weekly, monthly? How often should I be checking in with you? What's acceptable? And that's all you can do. But patience is obviously going to be important in this case. Hi, Jeff. Okay, you were able to get a loop for a GCP customer engineer, had your RRK and GC on Monday. Today is your GNL, so you hope you do well. I hope you do well as well. The next step is if the team decides to move forward as a presentation. Any advice on that portion? Yes, I have some very strong advice on the presentation. A few just very critical pieces of data for anybody doing a presentation. One, that deck better be clean. I mean, laser clean. The colors all match on all the slides. The font size is the same. Just no little hiccups. Some people are very nitpicky about that kind of stuff, and they will see that as lack of attention to detail. So clean deck. Secondarily, like, well, clean deck means less words. Don't put a lot of words on your slides. Otherwise, they'll stop listening to you and they'll start reading. Third, intended audience. The intended audience for these presentations is typically a hybrid of a technical, non-technical. Don't get too technical. You'll lose somebody like me who's less technical. I do like more of a facilitation than a presentation. Bring them into the conversation. And then lastly, practice that deck with multiple people of varying backgrounds. Do it at least 5 times. If you do the presentation 5 times at a minimum, you will be much, much better at giving that presentation. Not practicing it is a huge challenge area that I've seen. Hi, Jeff, you got a maybe from HC and entered team matching for US SWE L4, but nothing from the recruiter in 11 days. Slowing down on hiring. Should you email your recruiter? Yeah, if you haven't heard back in 11 days, I would definitely email them. So please go ahead and keep us posted. Okay, so this is not a 100% true statement, so let's just get some clarity around it. They didn't freeze hiring today. They're slowing their hiring down. And remember, that's going to be trending, right? You can't just slow or freeze hiring on a dot. Like, there's too much work and effort and time that's been spent to hire people. So they're slowing down hiring. For anybody who's in the offer stage, on-site stage, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I can't guarantee that there won't be impact. Of course, there could be, and there probably will be for some roles. But for most roles, they're going to see the process through. And then with the slowdown, look, we see these slowdown messages all the time. These companies still need to hire tons of people, not just from a growth perspective, but attrition. And if they're looking to keep people who are more technical, the highest attrition is going to be engineers, because the highest amount of engineers they hire is L3, and L3 engineers stay 1.2 years or 1.3 years. So the hiring will maybe slow down a little bit. And I'm seeing that on my end. I'm seeing the client trend slow down a little bit. But the reality is that, especially for more technical people, there's going to be a lot of opportunities, and they don't really stop hiring on the sales and ad space as well, because that's what brings in revenue. So I think you'll see a little bit of a slowing, but it's not a hiring freeze. Okay. End of June, you were interviewed for an AS role in Dublin. Your recruiter informed you that you've cleared all 3 rounds with good feedback and some improvement areas. We all need those. They now want me to interview for another position for large customer sales. They said one more round with the hiring manager of LCS, since all 3 other rounds are done. Okay. Sorry, I scrolled way too far ahead accidentally. Okay. Since all the rounds are done, I'm not sure what to expect in the hiring manager round for an LCS team. Plus, it's been 3 weeks. Haven't heard anything. Okay, so this is going to be a normal interview, and you better be really prepared. Hiring manager interviews, like if this is another role, it's going to be a full-on interview. So you really got to prep, open-ended, behavioral, get that heavy-duty prep in. And in regards for an anchor for LCS, 4 years of relevant experience, Dublin, we don't know if this is going to come through as an L3, L4. You know, you definitely want to be somewhere in the low to mid 1s, I would say. But I would come back on that. Please come back when it gets a little closer, but definitely crush the prep for this interview. L3 account strategist at a NYC, what base, what equity? Okay, so I'm just going to do the anchor overall. I want you to anchor in the high 1s, I would say, like right up in that like 196, 197 range, and it will probably pay about 160 to 170 total comp in year 1. Hi, welcome. I love your content. You're the best. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Hi, Jeff. When an offer letter is sent out, not necessarily from Google, what's a reasonable time for a candidate to do a final review before signing or rejection? I mean, if you're considering signing or rejecting, I mean, it would take at least a couple days Sometimes offer letters will have a deadline, but obviously if the deadline's super aggressive, like they send it to you and they say decide today, you just call them and confirm that you can have a couple days. Most systems won't shut you out. Maybe after a certain period of time, but I see these deadlines all the time, so don't really worry about it, but take a couple days. Obviously, some decisions depend on family, relo, comp, so many things. So take your time, okay? Slow down a little bit, make sure you're making the right decision. Completed 3 rounds of interviews for a non-tech role. Now the recruiter reached out saying they want me to have an informal chat with the department lead. What should I expect? This is a good sign. They don't spend time with you if they don't like you. It's like anything in life, right? We don't spend time with people we don't want to spend time with. They like you. It's going to be like a team match, which means you have to come in with a great answer for tell me about yourself. We can throw that in as a resource into the timestamps. You also want to come in with great questions. I love questions about our audience. What do you love about the organization? What do you love about your role? What's the coolest thing you're working on? I love positive questions. I love questions about them. Get excited about them. And then lastly, be prepared for anything else. So be excited, be enthusiastic. There's a reason why I stand during these lives. I get tired standing, but it gives me better energy and enthusiasm for this audience. So I want you to do that if you can in that video chat. Stand if you can. And good luck. Jeff, it's my 3rd week with Google Cloud in Prague. It's all your fault. Well, Prague is a great city and Google Cloud has great opportunities. So I hope it's a good thing. And congrats. Obviously, yeah, I think there's such a great opportunity in the cloud space. And I do and have heard really positive feedback from the lower levels in cloud. I know there's been some challenges at the very high leadership VP level, but everything else has sounded pretty good to me. What surprises me, the GOAT with wide receivers for cognitive flexibility isn't headhunted here. More interest from, wait a second. Okay, let me take a step back. Sometimes I need to slow down. Surprises me, the GOAT with WRs for cognitive flexibility isn't headhunted here. More interest from ethical considerations and FS practices. Not really sure what's being said there, so I might have you come back and restate that in some terminology that I can understand. Would be really helpful. Thank you. So they said a slowdown in hiring. If you just type in, like if you just Google Google hiring slowdown or Sundar introduces Google hiring slowdown, Bloomberg, MSNBC, all those big outlets will have a little bit more data. It's really limited, but it sounds like a slowdown. And they're saying a slowdown 2022 through 2023. Let's just have a pause moment. There's no way they can predict that they would have a hiring slowdown for all of next year. We don't know what's going to happen in the economy. We just don't know. Now, I know there's trends and indicators, and there's a lot of people who are much smarter than me in this space. But the reality is that I saw this kind of reactionary stuff all the time when I was there. And they'd say hiring freeze or hiring slowdown. And then we would just keep hiring. And that's what I think will happen. We'll see a little bit of a slowing, but I don't think it's going to be anything major. These big companies that have hiring slowdowns are so big, they still hire so much in comparison to other companies. It's really hard to see a true slowdown. Did your on-site but your recruiter in the meantime change companies and you don't know what to do now and contact for anything? What do you suggest I do? So when you email them, it's not like an out of office with like a new point of contact. That's what it should be, have a new point of contact. If not, you have to figure out a way to get to the source search, to the coordinator, to anybody that you interviewed with to say, hey, my recruiter left and I don't know what's going on. Okay, so if you can get in touch with anybody else, if you have anybody else's contact info, if you remember any of your interviewers' names and you can hit them up on LinkedIn, anything, please let me know if you need more information. What can you expect in a product solutions engineer interview? So for product solutions, this is really going to look at your technical lens. with that product lens as well. You're still going to need to be pretty technical, but it's probably going to be slightly more collaborative, working with critical stakeholders on the product team. One of the items I always tell people is your recruiter is the source of truth. Make sure that they're outlining every single interview you will face for that type of role, because as things constantly change, we always want to tap into the source of truth, and that's always our recruiter. Sorry, everybody, hydrating and caffeinating at the same time. Are Google recruiters and interviewers aware of your channel? Does using your practices make one look like a cheater? Well, Google recruiters are 100% aware of me. They oftentimes reference my information to help candidates. Are Google interviewers aware of me? Probably not, or not so much, because typically they're not in job search. Now, I can't say that interviewers have no idea. I mean, I'm sure there are a handful. I actually did get a funny message. I think the community will appreciate this. I got a funny message from a client of mine who's been there for a year, and somebody who interviewed was using my practices in the interview, and he appreciated that. Remember, we're not cheating. There's no cheating. You still have to put in the work. All I'm trying to do is really give this audience 3 items only. There's really only 3 things I focus in on in my coaching. That's structure. So the structure is using the STAR method on the behavioral side and CFAS on the open-ended side. Organization. How do you organize the information? What's the time cadence within each one of those items within the structure, within that method? And then lastly is level of detail. How much detail are we sharing? Too much, not enough. But we're not cheating. That's not the thing. We're just preparing and practicing. And if an interviewer recognizes and say, wow, this sounds like Jeff H. Sipes coaching, which I don't think they'd ever say, absolutely. I took this interview incredibly seriously, and I used some of Jeff's content to really practice and prepare as hard as I can. I hire people who practice and prepare. I don't want to hire somebody who goes in and wings it and just thinks that they can pass the interviews and I should hire them just because they're standing in front of me or sitting in front of me via video. Okay, so just some important data points, but I know it's a long-winded answer, but I don't see it as cheating. I see it as planning and preparing, which we would do for anything. So I actually got a funny comment about this, something else. And I know, again, I'm going on a tangent here, but like if you were an athlete, you would prepare by going after the NBA. You'd shoot 1,000 free throws a day, or going after anything in life that we're trying to accomplish. We prepare and practice. So I think preparing and practice is really important. Long-winded answer. Thanks for the question, though. Any pointer for system design interview frameworks for TPM roles? The only TPM role that should really have a system design interview, I know some do, but not really, because it would really depend on the system they were asking you to design, right? So based on that design are the concepts I would focus in on. So whether they want you to design like Netflix, how Netflix works in the cloud or something like that, we are going to just put together those important components. And then just similar to CFAS, you're going to focus in on one item and design based on that one item. And that's why I do think CFAS works for system design. But I do coach more on like solution design and less technical, but really technical, hands-on SWE system design. I'm not the right person, obviously, right? Because I would miss some of the technical components, but I like the setup. We always come into a system design question, we clarify. There are unknowns. Then we set the design, whether we're using Google Draw, we're using a whiteboard, we're setting out those 4 or 5 or 6 major components, very similar to a framework. Then we're picking one, checking in with our interviewer to see if they want to go down that path, and we'll make a couple of assumptions and we'll solve. So CFAS really does work for system design, but ultimately, I just want to make sure that you're confirming with your recruiter that you will absolutely have a system design interview for a TPM role. Thank you so much for your videos. Received an offer and you're about to sign it. Amazing. There's a clause somewhere asking that I declare any of my existing inventions, patents, IP, and it further says says I will give G the rights to acquire them. So here's the thing. If you have anything that you feel could be a conflict of interest or anything else, they're a big company. Don't do any of that other work on your Google tech, like use a private laptop. They shouldn't really be able to own that tech, but if you have any concerns, hire a lawyer. This comes up and it can be tricky, and Google has great lawyers. Do not do any side hustle or side work on your work laptop. That's the biggest piece of recommendation I can give for you, okay? Oh, and congrats. Amazing, amazing work. Thanks for all your content. How do you identify source or recruiter at FAANG companies via LinkedIn or just throw random posts on various PM groups? Well, you can always tell because some sourcers list themselves as recruiters, so it can be hard to tell. Now at FAANG companies, they should be identifying where they're working. Reaching out to recruiters via LinkedIn typically is a very tough path unless you use the giving model. Like, hey Jane, I came across your profile, saw a really cool article on ML and AI hiring in 2022 that I wanted to share with you. We can open up doors with graciousness and kindness and a giving model from a networking perspective, but just throwing out random posts, I would want to know more about what your target is. If you're trying to get into the company, I like to network more with people in the roles than recruiters, because recruiters just get so crushed with notes. Just my advice. Any advice for non-tech program management roles? Can't seem to get my foot in the door. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it goes back right to this last comment. Strong networking strategy can be really impactful and really help. Outside of that, I mean, you can apply, but referrals are great too if you can get a referral, but it can be hard to get in the door. I can't give you any specific feedback without knowing your background, but sometimes it just takes a little bit of time. I do really like networking. If you can somehow get a referral, that will definitely help. Can you send me a referral link to Google? Nope, I don't work there, so I can't refer you, and I don't recommend that anybody refers anybody if they don't know them. Now, there's all these platforms where you can pay to get referred and all that stuff, but they still have to basically say they don't know you, which is not really a strong referral. So I don't have a referral link and I can't get you on. And I also did, when I first left Google, I tried to get a lot of people in and I kind of got my hand slapped a little bit. And so for me personally, I don't refer anybody, and I just had to draw a line in the sand. But do your best to network if you don't have any referrals, and obviously you can always apply. Also, I thought that G allows employees to work 20% of their time on projects that benefits G. So my thoughts are I can still maintain my co-founder status of my idea with my partners while I work for G. So if your company is benefiting Google, now you're making me a little bit more scared that there could be a conflict of interest here. A Google 20% project, there is some real misinformation on this. If you take on a 20% project with Google, typically in the vast majority of cases, that 20% project has to have some role alignment, not always, but some. The amount of people who can take on a 20% project is slim to none. You absolutely can't do it early on. You need to be there for at least a couple of years. And then lastly, the internal joke at Google is it's not a 20% project. It's just 120% of the work. You still have your full workload. You don't get to do 80% of the work when you take on a 20% project. It's just more work. So that 20% project thing was really big 15 to 20 years ago, but it's not very big anymore. Okay, so I just strongly advise you to contact a lawyer. Make sure that you're protecting yourselves. You're protecting yourself, and do not do any of that work on your work laptop. Anything. I've applied many times for an account strategist and sales growth role, but never heard back from them. Any preparation tip? Well, you can prepare all you want, right? But the reality is that yeah, it can be hard to get in the door. This is a challenge for almost everybody, right? So you've got to work the networking strategy, any referrals that you can get. But I do want you to always be preparing and practicing. That's not a very easy thing to do consistently. If you're not in the interview process, it can be really hard to do that. But continue to network, continue to try and get referrals. That's all I can recommend. At the 30s, I'm just going to do a quick check-in. We're about 25 minutes behind. This is pretty common. I will start to pick up the pace a little bit, especially as we hit that hour mark. At practiceinterviews.com, today we're offering $100 off our interview mastery course if you use the code NOW, N-O-W, in all caps. $100 off until 11:59 p.m. tonight. We have interview coaching. We have negotiation coaching. The ROI on that is crazy. And obviously, I have the lives. I have 9 free resources on the website. We have the Slack group. All that stuff is free. So if you don't want to pay for services, we've got lots of free stuff too. If you like what we're doing today, smash that like button. And if you like the overall content, please consider subscribing. Okay, your location is Bangalore. Gosh, I'm just going to go back and see. Okay. I mean, same. I wouldn't really change my messaging that I told you before. TPMs are still a very, very hot role. And so there's no reason why you shouldn't be negotiating. Now, the percentages might be a little bit smaller than what I said before, but TPM is hot. So I want to make sure that you're really negotiating and getting after it, okay? Completed all rounds of interviews, got asked by HC for additional round interview, and was downgraded to L3. What are the chances I might pass and get considered again for L4? I can't tell you. All you can do is go in and crush that interview, and then if you get to the end of the process and they're still staying on L3, say, hey, if I did additional interviews, would you consider L4? So you can always ask at the end. It's not a negotiable item. It's an ask item. And then it's like, hey, do I need to do additional interviews? What do I need to do to get there? One of the common questions is, can I negotiate level? You cannot, but you can chat about it to see if there are options to get up level. Following the CEO email, how do you see that affecting recruiting from an operations standpoint? Determining headcounts, team matching, dropping candidates? Yeah, Bradley, they're going to have to work through all of it. When these messages come out, usually they don't overreact in the recruiting side. They kind of are trying to get some assessments. They keep going on whatever's active, but that's a lot of internal processes. But will people get dropped just in general and out of the team match stage at this point? Probably a little bit, yeah. Passed on sites and had a team, but turned down by HC a few weeks ago for ENG manager. What do you think about the IC ladder? Recruiter says I would need to redo system design and coding if I switch tracks. Yeah, so when it comes to IC and management roles, it's really like, what are you passionate about? If you're truly passionate about management, I would say don't do it. If you really like being hands-on technical and you think it's a good path to get in the door and you still love doing the hands-on coding and you don't think you need to do the people management piece right now, I would say go for it. Some people are just very, very passionate about management. And I don't want you to give up a passion just to get in the door, right? I mean, that can be a great way to build back in and lead up to management, but that would be my biggest question for you. In the statement, there's only 20 to 30% visible open positions out there. True for Google, or all positions are displayed? Yeah, well, there's some legality with that. So you see all these articles that say 10% or 20% or 30% of all positions are listed, and then the rest are just magically happening behind the scenes. And it's like, well, from a legality perspective, these big companies have a ton of scrutiny on them. They really should be posting every single position that's open, 100%, because if they got audited and somebody got hired without posting the position, they would put themselves at a huge legal and financial risk. So at Google, I think it's pretty safe to say that pretty much all positions are posted, pretty much. I'm sure there's outliers. All right, James, still waiting on the call from the Meta recruiter. Okay, keep us posted. Post HC recommendation. Recruiter said there are no team matches and closed my application last month. You applied again and recruiter reached out. Should I mention to them to move directly to team match? Yep, absolutely. I would absolutely be chatting with them about that. Hey Jeff, L3 SWE. I'm in the team match stage, pre-hiring committee. Had a call on Monday with an HM. I think it went well. What's the typical timeline for response from the hiring manager? No typical timeline. They do whatever they want. So just stay patient. If you haven't heard back by the beginning of next week, follow up with your recruiter. Comments on the slow hiring announcement of Google. Can I apply to a partnership role? Would that be ideal with the announcement on hiring? It said slow, not a freeze. So is it a worry? Well, just because they're slowing, we shouldn't slow our role. We can't control what they're going to do. We can only control what we're going to do. So I would say get after it. Go after it for sure. A common piece, I swear. What is your take on Prepfully? What distinguishes you from them? I've heard of them, but I've may have been on their site, but honestly, I can't say for sure. What distinguishes me from anybody else? I mean, I think that one of the items that I love the most about this community is we build trust. We're sitting here chatting together. I know I'm chatting at a screen, but I feel like we're all talking together. And if you feel like I'm trustworthy and I've built that trust, great. I don't know what Prepfully does. What I can tell you, what I've seen from some of these other platforms is whether it's, I don't want to call out names. We'll just go high level here. But there's a lot of platforms now that have a lot of people who are like me, ex-Google, ex-Meta, ex-Amazon, ex-Apple. And what they do is they just reach out to these people on LinkedIn and say, hey, do you want to make X amount of money to coach people who are interviewing at these companies? The challenge area with that is that many of these people aren't really interview trained. They're passionate about it probably, and they want to make a little extra income. The argument for me is that I've done it thousands of times. And it's just, I always call it shooting free throws. I've shot a lot of free throws. I think that's an advantage. But again, I hope that I've built a community where I've built trust, and I always allow people to kind of decide for themselves. And of course, I have a ton of free content in case anybody wouldn't want to, purchase my services. You're in the interview process with Google for a techno function role. You have got all 3 non-tech interviews. Does it matter for this role? Google for a techno function role. I'm not familiar with that at all, and I know we're super behind, but please come back and tell us more. Can you tell us specific job title, etc.? Hi, Jeff. I was told by my recruiter today at Google that I had positive feedback from my SWE L5 on site. I'm being submitted to HCs in L4. Okay. Should I be worried that I was down leveled and sent straight to HC and not team match first? I mean, what they probably saw is a very solid packet for an L4, and they wanted to go ahead and send it through to make sure you're confirmed. Remember, it's so much easier for me as a hiring manager if you're HC approved. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry about getting excited about you as a candidate, and then you don't make it through HC, which does absolutely happen. I think it's really a comp item, right? If L4 SWE is going to align with your comp expectations, then you can get in there and crush it, get promoted in a year, no problem. So I would really make sure it's more about comp. But usually when they do this, if it's pre-team match, sorry guys, my light. Let's see if I can get it on. My office light has a mind of its own. Let's see if I can get it on. Sorry, real quick. It's always awkward when I walk off the live, but I can't get my light on. So comp, I want to make sure your comp has really strong alignment. Okay, that's your number one focus area. And then don't worry about anything else. And obviously, good luck. Let us know how it goes. What is the grading levels inside Google? Grading levels. I don't understand that question. If you can come back and restate again, I know I'm behind. But I don't know what grading levels means. What do you think what do you think of paying for bootcamp courses for product management? In my case, I have no PM experience, but 9 years of work experience in different industry and marketing. Okay. Absolutely. I think you could take some, I love boot camps. I love courses. Like, let's just educate ourselves. We're going to learn something in that course, in that boot camp, in that whatever we take, we're going to get something out of it. I love for product. I like TryExponent. It's very, very affordable. TryExponent.com. Steven is a former product manager at Google. They got tons of good content. I agree with almost everything that they say on that platform, almost everything. They don't like frameworks, and obviously I really do. But everything else is really great. Product, I want everyone to believe that anything is possible. Product is super competitive right now. So you may have to take a significant step down to get into a product role, like come in as an L3. There aren't a lot of L3 product roles. It is the most competitive role in the world right now, most competitive. So it's just something I want you to have some awareness around, but go build that skill set, learn some things. And I definitely encourage that. Finished your executive interviews for an ABP and still waiting for results. Recruiter said they're still choosing a finalist. Is it possible they pick more than one finalist to send to HC? You can be HC approved as an ABP, I believe, in some cases before team match. Just with ABPs, the biggest thing to remember is the process is brutal. It's really long. You can be in the team match stage for months and months and months. And Tina, if she shows up today, which she sometimes does, she was in the team match stage for 11 months, of her 12 months, of her 10 months. So patience is critical for these roles. Hi, Jeff. Interviewed for a specific prod ops and passed on-site, but team went with other candidate. Recruiter said feedback is very strong. Okay. Am I right to think I'm basically in team match stage right now? Hold on. Passed on-site, but went with another candidate. Recruiter said, and we'll put you forward for other roles. No, you're not in team match. They're looking for other roles for you. What is the success rate of team matching? The success rate's probably 60 to 65%, but again, that's not the stage you're in. And how long it will take, I can't tell you. You were laid off in the middle of the interview process and you have other offers. You plan to take one since you need income. Yeah, you can do that. You can always take it and burn a bridge. And then should I update your recruiter that you were laid off? Nope, you don't need to tell them that. How should you bring up layoffs? You don't need to address it. It won't come up. And then any other advice, just stay in touch with your recruiter, but you're not in the team match stage. They're looking for other roles for you. Okay. Thank you for your continued support. You're interviewing for a people manager role. I presume that if I join, I will have the TC details of my team, which means that the recruiter could not lowball me on total comp, as it should be at least equal or higher to the teammates who would be reporting to me. Is this a fair assumption? Yes, it's a very fair assumption. Your direct reports cannot make more money than you. So absolutely, because you will have access when you come in as a manager. So your total comp would need to be higher. That's correct. Oops, I think I skipped. Sorry, I might have jumped ahead here. Sorry, I'll come back to you. Sometimes I scroll very far ahead and I lose track of everything. So let's go back here. Okay. I requested to reschedule an interview, but it wasn't updated on interviewer's calendar and you received for interview call for the same time, same day. I informed about the request I made. Will it affect your candidacy? Absolutely should not affect your candidacy at all. They dropped the ball and that's not on you. You had already put in that request and it just didn't get updated. And remember, one of the items that I want everybody to remember here, when you drop off of an interviewer's calendar or like there are these hiccups, the interviewer doesn't care. They're like, cool, I get the time back. They're excited to get that time back. And they're not going to report in the system that you were a terrible candidate or anything. You're just going to say, Scheduling miscommunication. Looks like this person needs to be rescheduled, and just, so I wouldn't worry about it at all. Just make sure you touch base with your recruiter, figure out why this happened, okay? Okay, applied for Google on Friday. Within an hour, you received an email. Amazing. Set up an interview for the next Monday. It went well. Thanks for your videos, and he pushed me towards HC. Amazing. Okay. So you had multiple interviews on Monday? Okay, wow, that's amazing. That's a very, very quick turnaround. Keep us posted on how things go. Any advising on applying for legal attorney role at Google? Currently, there are 2 associate counsel positions on LinkedIn. Yeah, I mean, these are great roles. I've worked with some attorneys at Google, a lot more on the negotiation side, but these are great roles. I feel like internal legal attorney roles will give you a little bit more work-life balance than typically is seen when you're working at an external firm. So I love these roles. I think it's a great opportunity, and obviously the pay is also very good. Said it was a strong hire. I don't want to be overly optimistic, but is that a good sign? Strong hire is a good sign. Yeah. I'm just a little curious why you would apply, have 1 interview, and go to HC. That basically never happens unless there's something else I'm not aware of that you want to tell us. Got your offer approved. Not sure if you're accounting. I did. Congrats. Amazing. Thank you so much. I always appreciate when people let us know. I used to count the number of people who used to come in and let us know. I think one time we hit like 13 or 14 on a live that let us know, but I stopped counting because it was so ridiculous. I couldn't keep count. So I'm not counting, but thank you so much for letting us know. I always appreciate it. And it shows everybody what's possible. Is there any instructional, oh, there's my line. Instructional designer role. How many years of experience do they require? Absolutely. These are less common roles, but they have these roles 100%. Years of experience for these types of roles, I think I would say probably a minimum of 5 years. Would really depend on the job description, though. Jeff, when does the background check happen? Is it after the offer is signed? After the offer is signed, most of these big companies use a third-party company called HireRight, and as long as like the criminal background is clear and like your dates are clean and all that, usually just takes 2 to 3 days for it to clear. Does transferring from a solutions engineer to a software engineer demand an entire interview process? Does it involve any recruiter for internal hires? Yeah, probably a solutions engineer to software engineer. Yeah, you're going to probably need to do a couple of coding rounds. My best guess, you would need to check with them. It would involve some internal recruiting to get you there. L3 SWE, Austin interview process. Will I have a system design interview also? If I get to the offer stage, where should I anchor? L3s do not have system design. If I was getting an L3 offer for SWE in Austin, I would be anchoring at least in the mid 2s. You'll end up in the 210, 215, 220 range in year 1, low 2s. So you can anchor in the mid like maybe 250s, 260s if you want. Watch many of your videos prior to my interviews. You've completed all the interviews for res sales, hiring manager, team lead. Are the positions some that were put on hold? So they're going to slow the hiring process. Remember, the cost to hire is extremely high. And so what I mean by that is it's so expensive to hire each person because of all the man hours and all the labor that they typically don't want to stop. So most of the people who are in process, I can't say for sure, right? There's going to be people who are impacted, but most of the people who are in process now probably won't be impacted. Hi, Jeff. For my upcoming interview, is it okay to ask my recruiter who I will interview with, their level, their titles? You absolutely can ask who you will interview with and what their titles are. They will 100% not share their levels. That's 100% confidential. You can always ask, but I would not ask for levels. They will not give you that data. My recruiter hasn't been responding to my update emails for a month. You passed hiring committee, but you're stuck on team match. What should I do? Thanks for your videos. Roger, all you can do is continue on the team match stage. Just check in once a week and just stay gracious and kind, gracious and kind, gracious and kind throughout, okay? But just continue to check in once a week. Them not responding to you for weeks or for a month, that's just crazy. That's just, again, it's a bad recruiter, right? And I did that advice to Google recruiters video. It really didn't hit the way I wanted it to. I spent a few weeks on that video, but I wish that they'd be giving you an update at least once a week. It's the easiest thing that they could do. They're just lazy, unfortunately. Sorry. Hi, Jeff. Completed loop at G a while back. Recruiter says waiting on approval and will know leveling and we'll have comp discussion this Friday. Do they already know this info? L6, TPM. Okay, so before you do any negotiation, the biggest thing is I just don't negotiate without level confirmed, okay? You can push back and push back and push back and just say, I'm not negotiating. I'm not giving you numbers until I have a approved level, period. So just push back on that until you get there. And then L6 TPMs are making a lot of money. Go baller on that anchor. I don't know your market, but go high. We're at 51 minutes. I'm behind. So I'm going to start to try and pick up the pace just a little bit, just so everybody knows, okay? For your TPM interview, you have 2 technical judgment interviews, but you have no team assigned. Can you give insight on what kinds of questions would be covered if there's no team? Technical judgment is going to be all about how you drove results through technology, through data. And then on the open-ended side, you got to bring in how you handle technical items, right? And you can, even though you don't have a team assigned, you can give some specificity. If you have no product, you can pick a product, whatever that product might be, from maps to search to cloud. Pick a product area to get more specific in your solutions. What's the cool off period if you get rejected in a phone screen for a SWE round? Also, cool off period is calculated by the date of application. It's not that finite, but it's usually a year. But you can start checking back in 6 months, 9 months, but usually it's a year, but it's not that rigid, okay, in terms of when they can re-engage with you. Passed on-sites with G in late April and in team match stage for L6 non-PGM manager. Seattle recruiter shared profile with 20 teams, but no bites. Should I be worried? Yeah, I mean, I think candidly, I would be a little concerned if it's been shared with 20 plus teams. There may be something in the feedback that's not really showing that strong, because 20 teams and nobody to give a bite. Sometimes they'll push to the team match stage where the interview feedback is strong, but not very strong. So there's really nothing you can do. It sounds like you have a very engaged recruiter, which is good. Just stay in touch with them. Unfortunately, that's the best advice I can give you. Does Google hire experienced folks for data analytics background in India? 100% they do. My recruiter has asked me to choose a domain, and 1 round will be base chosen domain. So a PM role in GCP in Poland, what do I expect in the domain area? Any suggestions? So this is going right back to you. What is your strongest domain or domains? Talk with your recruiter about it. Ask them what they think is the best path. This is where you got to build a relationship with them, because I'm not sure what to tell you from a domain perspective and where your strongest expertise is, okay? But the Poland market's a good market. Seems like it's a growing market. What could be tested technically as a program manager? Data center equipment spend planning, since the recruiter said this role is technical. Yeah, it's going to be technical, domain technical. So do you know the technical setup, the technical components, all the inner workings of a data center? You should. That's the more technical side. Program managers almost always are technical. Almost always. There are a few random program manager roles that won't require any technical background. A lot of program managers have a computer engineering background, or they grew up technical and switched to program management, so that's not surprising. But really work with your recruiter to find out as much as you can. But the inner workings of a data center, know everything. What about an associate product manager role? Are they open for people who have no experience in product management? Maybe. I can't say for sure, right? Yeah, you could go in for an associate product manager role if you don't have product management experience. That can be a way to get in the door, especially because you have some years of experience. Any advice on, oh, okay, we answered that question. Absolutely. Slack group is free. People go on there. I try my best to get on there a couple times a week. Sometimes I can be a little slow, and I apologize for that. But the community really lifts each other up, okay? It's really, really important. The community is really driving that with each other. It's amazing. It's free. There's a free peer practice in there where people are helping each other. I really encourage you to join the Slack group. Hi, Jeff. I have an interview Monday for Google Cloud Consultant, Data Analytics. I'm practicing questions on your Excel file. Any other advice? It's RFK. Nope. Practice and preparation. Look at those questions. Remember, I'm not a big fan of questions. I'm a big fan of building the foundation. Get your best examples down in a Google Doc. Really work on creating go-to clarifying questions, frameworks, pre-plan assumptions, and then and only then tackle questions. Build the foundation first is my strongest recommendation. Compared to the regular recruitment phase with this hiring freeze, what types of changes shall we expect? Increase in recruitment difficulty? Yeah, it's going to get trickier. It's going to get more challenging. It will get more competitive. But again, it's not a hiring freeze, it's a hiring slowdown. But the changes will be, you'll see less roles and you'll see more competition. That's absolutely correct. How hard is it with somebody with customer service call center background to get into Google as a PM intern? If we're talking about a product management intern, PM intern could be program management or product management. I mean, you would have to have some foundational classwork or courses or skills and have strong interview skills. So you can't just dive in, but obviously if you have some of those skills, obviously there's always an opportunity at that level. Just got rejected for TSE yesterday. Rationale being I'm borderline for L4, but they don't want to bring me in at an L3 with 10 years of experience. Is this common? Was told to try for an L4 again in a few months. Yep. They don't want to bring you in at the inappropriate level. They do down level, but not to the extent that it doesn't make sense. So if they're saying a few months, check in exactly at that 3-month timeline, right? To say, hey, I'm still interested. This is what I've learned in that time. I'd love to give it another shot, because you may not need to redo all the interviews. You might need to redo maybe 1 or 2. Good luck. I work with banks as my clients. While forming my answer due to confidential reasons, I can't always take the name of the situation for the STAR method. In this case, I was working with a large financial services company. I was working with a small regional bank. Call out the size. Call out the type of financial institution. Now, it looks like you're mostly with banks. I just want to know size. I want to know they're a large bank. I want to know they're a large bank that's located throughout all of Europe. I want to know they're a large global bank. I don't need to have their name. Anytime you think you're going to be breaking confidentiality, don't do it. Don't list their name, but give me the details of the client so I get a pulse and feel for them. Thanks so much for the useful session, which helps me to understand. You're welcome. Thanks for being here. I received an on-site invite stating it's technical judgment, domain interview. Any recommendations? Technical judgment means you have to solve this technical judgment. The recruiters are just doing an absolutely horrible job of telling you what this actually means. It's solving with technology on the open-ended side and your behavioral side. How do you use technical judgment to solve problems, help process, help strategy, etc. And then there's that collaborative piece of how you collaborate with other technical groups as well. So you went live and wanted to reach out and extend genuine gratitude for all the insights and amazing information you shared. Helped you land a job with Google a few months ago. Angie, amazing. Thank you so much. I love it when people hop back in and jump into these lives, because once you're done with this space, you're just done, right? Like, and I get it. People absorb a lot of interview content and then they just want to shut it down because it can be very overwhelming. But I love it when, and sincerely appreciate it when people pop back in and let us know. Congrats. Oh shoot, I missed the second part, AJ. Oh yeah, can I tell my recruiter to just address them as clients? Well, you did sign an NDA, but again, just tell me a little bit more about them. You don't need to tell me their name. Completed your on-site technical and googliness round 1 week back. Recruiter told I got positive feedback for all interviews except one technical round. So what's the probability of getting in? And the recruiter asked me to provide internal references of my past achievements. Does that mean it's strong enough to be sent to HC? Got to ask your recruiter. I don't know. And I can't, unfortunately, tell you the possibility of getting through. And just, if I can't see the data, I can't tell you. But just really push on our recruiters to give us better information because they're the source of truth. Okay. So we're at the hour mark. I'm 35 minutes behind still. I am going to start churning a little bit more. And I apologize for anybody whose questions I'm getting to now, but we're going to pick up the pace quite a bit. If you want to get $100 off the Interview Mastery course, use the code NOW, N-O-W in all caps, $100 off until 11:59 Pacific time today. We do interview coaching, negotiation coaching as well. Negotiation coaching, that ROI just gets absolutely crushed. It's an awesome service. If you like what we're doing today, smash that like button. If you've never subscribed, consider subscribing. I go live every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, and new videos, new content every other Tuesday. Let's get back to it. Hi, Jeff. Hi. Can you please tell me how to prepare for this question? Got accepted for my master's. Thanks for the tips. Oh, okay. Sorry. You're welcome. How will you increase GCP revenue and market share? Well, okay. So if we're talking about GCP revenue and market share, I want to understand a few pieces. Like, what's my timeline? I'm increasing GCP revenue. Do I need to do this in the next week, month, quarter, year? What's my timeline? I want to know market share in terms of what's the scope. Are we doing the scope for North America, for EMEA, globally? So I want to know a little bit about scope. Is this a brand new initiative that I'm starting from scratch, or am I jumping into an initiative that's currently ongoing? That's how I would clarify. Then I would come in, I would want to understand the overall goals, the historical data. Again, definitely my timeline. If I have any budget, this becomes very programmatic. Then I solve. I solve by making some assumptions about growing GCP revenue in one specific area. So I'm going to assume that I'm looking to grow GCP revenue specifically for BigQuery in the North America market. Very specific assumption. And then I'm going to solve, taking a niche down of what the role is requesting. I hope that helps. Okay, so you got accepted your master's. Amazing. Congrats. This is for a SWE role. Okay, so yeah. So again, for a SWE role, I can't tell you the probability, unfortunately. What are your thoughts on referring to your notes during an interview? I like referring to a cheat sheet. Our cheat sheet is down below. I'm a righty. So my cheat sheet is on my left-hand side. My blank piece of paper is on my right-hand side. I'm going here and I'm writing down the questions, and then I'm coming up, but I'm referencing that cheat sheet. The cheat sheet is going to only have a few things. Your go-to clarifying questions, your go-to frameworks, a few pre-planned assumptions. We can definitely pre-plan assumptions, and then the titles. The titles to all of our best behavioral examples. This is just to jog our memory really quickly, but actually reading off real notes and like reading off a piece of paper, absolutely not. Hey, Jeff, massive thanks for your awesome content. Excited to share that I've accepted an offer from Google after a 6-month-long process. Amazing. Thank you so much for letting us know. Lots of people coming back and letting us know today, and really appreciate it. Good luck. Thanks for the great content. I signed up for your course with the coupon code you provided last time. It was amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much for that feedback. Just finished Gnl, waiting for your cloud presentation 1 now. Remember, with the presentation, you're going to massively prepare that deck. You're going to practice with multiple people. The deck's got to be very clean. And when you present to like a CTO and a CFO. Think technical, non-technical. Good luck. I got an email from Google Cloud HR asking for 3 time slots and sending my resume for a quick informal chat. They've not explained which role they're looking out for. You can follow up and say, I'm super excited. Thank you so much. Can you tell me the role? Yeah, they need to tell you that. Hi, Jeff. I'll be starting as an L4 SWE at Google soon. How can I expect to get promoted from an L4 to an L5? You need to perform at the next level for a minimum of 2 quarters, 6 months. You need to be performing at an L5 level. It's really critical that we are having constant conversations with our manager. What can I be doing? How can I be improving? What should I be working on? What are the 3 items I need to do to get promoted? And then remember, they're not the ultimate decision maker. There's a promo committee that will ultimately decide. It's a great way to do it, so there can be no bias. Your manager can put you up for it, but ultimately the the promo committee will decide if you get promoted. Think a year to a year and a half, okay? I initially interviewed for a TPM at Google. They felt I was more aligned to a PGM, which in my opinion is not as in high demand now. Now I'm stuck in limbo team matching coupled with a hiring slowdown. Would it be safe to assume it's time to move on? We never move on from the team matching stage until they tell us it's over. Being downgraded from a TPM to a program manager is very common, so I wouldn't worry about it. I do agree. TPM is more in demand. It pays about 10% more than program managers. So I feel you. I get it. But I would say just stay in the process, stay in touch with your recruiter. That's all you can do. Okay. But it's definitely not time to move on. Not yet. How much time required to prepare for Bangalore, Google Interview? That really depends on you. I like pressure. Otherwise, we're going to procrastinate. How easy is it to just jump in and do interview prep all the time? It's not that easy, right? So I like 2 to 3 weeks, up to a month if we can, but sometimes we always don't have control over that. I love bookends. I love having at least a couple weekends to prep. So if you're giving the schedule, have a couple weekends in advance of giving your availability unless there's a real time crunch. So there's no real set period of time, but I do like a little bit of timing pressure, like 3 to 6 months. I think it's too long. Now that could depend on how technical you are and how much like coding prep you might need to do. But typically I like less time because of the pressure. Do you plan on creating a networking course in the future? Yes, I actually have multiple courses I can quickly introduce. I'm going to have this will depend on the community and what the demands are. I want to have a LinkedIn and resume course. That's our beginning piece. Then we have the networking course. Then we have the interview mastery course, which I created. Next would become a negotiation course. And then the 5th course that I'm going to build is a branding course. How do you brand yourself once you're in the organization? I'm working on the negotiation course now, so I can start promoting this. I hope to have that out in the next 2 months, but 2 to 3 months, depending on my designer. There will be a negotiation course out there, and it's going to be awesome. I've never dove as deep as I'm diving into negotiation right now, so it's super fun. It's going to be a really good, heavy, robust negotiation course. Thanks for the question. When G provides total comp, including bonus target, how likely are you actually to get that bonus if you meet your annual objectives? 100%. If you meet expectations, you will at least get that bonus. Only 5% of the organization not meeting expectations. So that means 95% of people are at least hitting that bonus, if not getting more. Now, you could meet expectations and have a 20% bonus and still get 22, 23%. So there's even flexibility to go upwards within a meeting expectation band. So it's really good. Very consistent. It's basically a guaranteed bonus, basically. You have a company that you work for in the past that says 20%, but they give you 1%. Yeah, no, these bonuses are pretty much guaranteed. What positions would you recommend for a finance major CPA with programming skills? Practice around 430 lead code questions. Okay, that's awesome. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, if you're really good at coding and that's your passion, I would stick to that. I mean, you can find some like more heavy duty, like maybe you're a business systems analyst where you bring in some of these like more like SQL or that piece, but that's really up to you. The good piece is you seem to be more on that math brain side of things. So whatever you prefer, but obviously you could go after a financial analyst position that could have, if you can bring some coding skills to the table, that could be good. So lots of opportunities. In behavioral questions, what do we do if we do not have a story about a particular situation? Like, tell me about an example. Tell me about a situation where you led a team. Should I just answer hypothetically? No, we're trying to find the core function of what that question is asking. So, tell me about a situation where you led a team. This is really just a leadership generic question. So you might say to your interviewer, Sue, I don't have an example of a time where I specifically led a team, but I do have an example of a time where I led a really strong project. Is it okay if I provide that example? Look for the core foundation of what the question is asking. This is a leadership-driven question, so any time where you demonstrated leadership is fine. Just set the tone with your interviewer, Sue, right away to establish that you're not going to specifically answer what she asked of you. RK round this week for a cloud specialist role. Any last minute tips for me? Yeah, cloud specialist. I mean, just embed some cloud technologies into your solutions to open-ended questions, right? And really think about internal resourcing, how you're working with other internal stakeholders to have success. Those are two of my biggest tips. And just prepare and practice like crazy. Thanks for your awesome content. Can you tell us how your paid content is different from your free content? How your paid content will further benefit me? I mean, with the coaching, look, anytime you get one-on-one coaching, you're going to get real, actionable feedback in the moment. You can take action on it immediately. With the course, the thing I love about the course is there's over 50 exercises. I don't include those exercises in my videos. So if you're the type of person who really likes self-study and really likes going through exercises on your own, that's where it will provide value. Hey, Jeff, any guidance for someone in the process in interviewing for UX researcher role at Google India? Finished all my rounds and awaiting on the recruiter response. Is the process different? No, the process is not different. I love user experience researcher roles. I love those roles. They're really fun, but no, the process should not look any different than anything else. Okay, good luck. Just finished your on-site interviews Thursday last week and haven't heard back. Email them right now. Email them right now and say I'm still excited and engaged. Wanted to check in on where we are. Graciousness and kindness, but today's the day to check in. Will there be any difference in interview process for Fitbit and Google in terms of loop for a TPM? Well, now that Fitbit is technically a Google company, it should be very similar. I would imagine it would be very similar. I don't know where you are, but I know Fitbit's kind of located here in San Diego, so maybe you're here locally. But it should be similar, but again, ask your recruiter, hey, is this very similar to the Google process, or does Fitbit have their own process? Sometimes it can take a while for the two processes to combine, but I think they purchased Fitbit a couple of years ago, so it should be pretty intertwined at this point. Got an email from Google Cloud HR asking for 3 time slots, sending my resume, but they have not explained what they're looking out for. Yeah, you just got to follow up with them. I think we had that question before. Have an interview for Google tomorrow. Amazing. Good luck. Kick butt. And remember, anybody coming in for an interview, just let's go to this real meditative state for like 30 minutes before the interview. Don't prep. There's a lot of science and data that says we're using brain capacity if we prep right up to the interview. Have that shut down of a minimum of a half an hour before the interview. Do you think the hiring slowdown will affect TSS, GCP2? I don't think GCP is going to be super impacted just because it's driving revenue for the organization, but I can't say for sure. Got an email from the recruiter saying I matched and the team wanted to send me an offer. When do I have time to chat? Send an offer. Okay, so waiting for those numbers to come in. You should really be working on your anchor. You can use the offer template on our website, or obviously you can try and book my services for that if you like. I'm pretty booked up until Monday of next week, but if you message me, sometimes I can squeeze people in, but just make sure that you're having an idea of your anchor before that conversation. Thanks for your interview content. Does your interview mastery course offer live sessions with you? The goal when I built it was to do group coaching. That's not currently happening. So it is really a standalone self-study course. Hey, Jeff, your videos helped a lot, though I was not able to clear the Google BI analyst role, but you got an offer from Amazon. Your methodologies and ideas helped me bag the offer and negotiate well. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the behavioral coaching strongly applies for Amazon, where they go pretty much 100% behavioral. So congrats. I'm so excited that you not only got the job offer, but you negotiated. Awesome. Your videos have been a game changer for me in terms of prepping for the interview. It's soon and I'm nervous and excited, but more importantly, I feel prepared to a huge extent thanks to you. Awesome. Keep preparing as long as you can. Stay excited, stay enthusiastic. And remember, if we believe we've prepared and practiced enough, the likelihood that we get the job is going to go way up. Again, I work a lot on psychology and science, and all the data backs up. If we believe we're going to get it, the likelihood that we will goes up by a ton. Is your practice interview course useful for Mech ENG? Yeah, so basically for ME roles, what I'll tell you is that it's going to focus in on behavioral and open-ended questions, then some of the other soft skills. So it's not going to have that technical component, but all the other components that you would need in an interview will have. Hi, Alex. I want to get into product management role. You've completed your MBA and doing certification from Duke University in PM. You don't see any associate level posting from Google nor have experience. Yep, there's always an opportunity. I think we've chatted about this a couple times. Look, when they come up, I want you to try, right? And just continue to up your product skill set as much as you can. Do anything that you can. It's totally robust. And try exponent.com. Go look at some of their practice questions. They're all sourced. If you can answer those types of questions, you would do great if and when the interview happens, okay? Hey, Jeff, during team match, when I'm speaking with a team, my recruiter doesn't send me more team matches. Does an applicant's profile remain open during team matching? Well, technically anybody can go in and do anything with your profile. There's not like really limitations on that. But, you know, getting lots of team matches is hard. Most people don't get a lot of team matches. Most are getting one or two. You know, there are rare cases where people get a lot, but just stay as patient as you can. You get an additional team match hits after I'm back on after a team goes with another candidate. Yeah. One team doesn't pick you, you'll have other opportunities. Currently a Googler in the Dublin office. Okay. I'm working with a sales position with 15% bonus and some changes are happening. Okay, thanks for letting us know. I think this was earlier. They told you we'll just go back because it's interesting. They want to move us to a sales plan but decrease the base salary. Yes, you can negotiate it. I don't know if you missed my previous answer. No need to repeat questions. I'll get to everything. But yeah, I think it's an interesting case. You can try to negotiate, but I can't guarantee with these internal situations that they'll do anything for you. Okay. Listen to your videos when preparing for my own Google interviews, and now I share my candidates and friends. Love your content. Thanks so much, Alex. Really, really appreciate the positivity. Thank you. Hi, Jeff, dropping by to say hi, and thank you again for the help with the prep and negotiations for Google, starting your YouTube role next Monday. Thanks so much, Sean. Yeah, tons of positive feedback today. This is an awesome live session. I really, really appreciate it. I mean, Sean, you put in a ton of work on your end, so you deserve to be there. And obviously, I'm kind of a fan of YouTube, so congrats again. Hey, Jeff, interviewed for a PGM role and went through team matching. Is it often that Google HC keeps another interview after getting a green light from team matching? Sometimes. Sometimes HC will say, hey, look, this all looks good, but we just want a little bit more data. So yeah, maybe in 10 to 20% of the cases, it does happen even after a team match. So get after that interview, go crush it. Hi, Jeff, just passing by to say thank you for your content. Helped you a lot. Amazing, amazing. Yes, congrats, Sean. Hi, Felicia. Hi, I'm attending this session from Singapore. Also dropping by to say thank you for all the videos you're starting on YouTube next Monday as well. Awesome, amazing. Thank you so much for letting us know. Amazing. Team matched already. Okay. Okay, let's see if there's another comment there. I don't see another comment attached to that, but if you want to come back and tell us, please let us know. There may have been an earlier comment, but I don't remember, unfortunately, sorry. I'm applying to Google for the second time. I passed all rounds last time, but I failed the psychological behavioral. On the other hand, I got full marks in googliness and leadership. Okay, good. Today, it's been 2 months since I resubmitted, and so far no one has contacted me. Is that normal? Do you have any tips to get someone's attention? For example, on LinkedIn. Well, we failed. Okay. Well, I mean, it's only been a couple months. So if you're applying for the same roles, they're definitely not going to reach out to you. On LinkedIn, I don't recommend recruiters. I recommend people in like roles. Giving strategy. I wanted to share this cool article with you. I wanted to share this cool video with you, but don't ask for anything. Somebody will come and help you. I like the giving first model. It works really, really well. I know because I did it in 2010 when I lost my job in the horrible economy at the end of 2009, and it landed me multiple job offers by taking that strategy. But it takes patience. Hi, Jeff. I got an email from the recruiter saying I matched L3 ABP. They wanted to send me an offer. On the call, the recruiter said, hiring manager vetoed me for an L2 finance. Okay, I was a strong hire and I need to interview for another team. My feedback said I was overqualified, should interview for a PM role. That's up to you. I mean, that's like really what you're passionate about. If you love the ABP position, I wouldn't go after, I'm assuming they mentioned program manager role. No, program manager role will pay more. So it's something to consider. But if you really like being an ABP, I would continue to try down that path. I hope that helps. I'm going for a PMM role at Google, the Gplay, and I have 7 years of relevant marketing experience with a focus in CRM. Tips to evaluate salary expectations for Mountain View. I mean, 7 years of experience is kind of a, it's 7 years of relevant marketing experience. So that could be a 7. Oh, sorry. That could be a 4 or a 5. Now, in terms of anchoring, because it's product marketing, it's not going to pay quite as well, but in the 4 range, mid to mid high 2s, and then for an L5, definitely into the 3s. One Google partner recruiter have sent me a job for level 3. Level is lower than my expectations. Actually, I was looking for an L6 or L7 role based on 20 years of PM experience. She was convincing me that if you give interview based on interview performance, Google recruitment team will decide your level for L6 or L7. Jeff, I don't get convinced with her talk, as till now I gave interview for jobs at a company looking for. Please clarify. Well, yeah, I mean, you shouldn't be interviewing for an L3, and the interviews will be set appropriately based on level. So it's not like they're going to bring you in for an L3. An L3 would not have an L6 or L7 on the panel initially. It would be somebody lower level. So that doesn't make any sense. So I would really question this recruiter and say, it's my understanding that in order to be hired for this role, that I would need to have an interviewer at least my level or higher. So if you're telling me you're bringing me in for an L3, will you make sure my interviewer is at least L6 or L7? Something like that. I know that's not the perfect language, but I hope that helps. That's really weird. I don't know what the heck they're doing, honestly. In the team selection process and before on-site interview steps, is this normal? Yes, they're trying to get ahead of team matching more and more so that it doesn't become this just endless time suck at the end, or you don't find a team. They're trying to have that initial interview and then find you a team first. This is a strategy that they're trying to use. Hi, Jeff. Google Sourcer has recently reached out about interviewing with them. However, it was for an office I'm not interested in. Can I change offices in the team match phase? Yeah, I say go for it. If they really like us, sometimes we can change it at the end. I just say go for it, and at the end say, I've really needed to reconsider the office, and unfortunately I can only work remote, or I can only work for this. At that point, if they want to hire you, it's good news. Okay. Thank you so much. The reason I thought I was in team match is that the recruiter said you wouldn't have to re-interview as long as that HM would be a fit and sent directly to HC. Okay. What are some of the big differences between this and team match? Thoughts on how likely? Can't tell you success rate. It's just a total unknown. I don't know what's going on because you're recruiter, the communication, it seems to be unclear. One role was closed out. Are there multiple like other roles where you could be put in front of hiring managers for a team match? I just want them to give you the specific language so there's no gray area or confusion. Okay, keep us posted. Jeff HC approved me onto the team match and negotiation. Amazing. Good luck. Definitely negotiate that offer. Applying to a different country role at Google, how flexible and are okay are they to hire immigrants and provide visa sponsorship? This is a harder path. Candidly, you should be trying to get roles in your home country, if at all possible, and then transferring once you're in the organization. Now, in Europe, it's easy to move. If you're in the EU, like you can move across certain countries, it's a lot easier. There aren't quite the restrictions. If you're going from Canada into the US, it can be easier, but just know how hard it is to go from your specific country to get in, because it is a tougher path for sure. Started this month as a TPM. Much thanks for all your help. Everything you said was spot on and helped. Strong hire feedback. You're the real deal. Keep up the good work. Awesome. Thank you so much for letting us know, and wish you the absolute best of luck. Hello, Jeff. I was reached out to on LinkedIn by G Recruiter for YouTube. I had a call with the recruiter and they immediately set up a call with PM, which went okay. Do you have any advice on what I do while I wait? Don't wait too long. If you haven't heard back in 5 business days, follow up. But now you should be massively getting your examples down into a Google Doc, really working on your CFAS method and practicing with others as much as you can in the interim. Completed the on-site interview for Metro Network Deployment Engineer role for Dubai. Okay, awesome. There definitely is an uptick in hiring in Dubai. And I don't know, Mohammed, if there was another question. Okay, sorry, Jacob. Okay, so Mohammed, I don't see anything else. Jacob, I have an opportunity to get an interview with an early career recruiter. I was wondering what the pass rate for phone screening is. Early career recruiter at Google. Nobody can tell you that pass rate, right? Like it depends on the role, depends on you, it depends on so many factors. All I can say is prep and practice like crazy. Obviously they're going to weed out a percentage of people in that phase, 70%, 80%. So just make sure you prepare accordingly. Thank you for your videos. They're fantastic. And the streams are too. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Robin. I got an offer from Google for L4 customer engineer position. Where should I anchor? Location, London, UK. Oh, I have a data point on this. Anchor. Okay. I would anchor for an L4 cloud customer engineer. This is going to sound high, but I would anchor into just the low 2s, somewhere in the low 2s for an L4 customer engineer. They're paying really well, and even in the London market, those jobs pay pretty well. Good luck. You are welcome. I have the opportunity to interview with an early career recruiter from Google and was wondering, oh yeah, we answered that question. L4 financial analyst, Austin, what should be the anchor? What should I expect for Google's range? I mean, L4 non-tech, I like to anchor as high as we can. So I would anchor 280s. Yeah, somewhere in there. It's probably going to pay low 2s, but I would anchor into the high 2s, high 270s, low 280s, something like that. It's been 1 week since you completed your on-site interview for, oh, okay, here we go. Today I found out recruiter has visited my LinkedIn profile. Just check in with them, Mohammed. I mean, they should be getting back to you, but obviously if they're checking on your LinkedIn profile, probably something positive. Can't say for sure, but definitely check in with them today. And I know it's later there now, so still send that email right now. Past HC for a TPM role, recruiter waiting to green light for high ups for giving an offer. Will the recent hiring slowdown impact? I don't think that people, remember, there's going to be one-off cases. There is going to be a headcount here or there that gets shut down, but typically not at this stage. They're not going to start shutting things down at the offer stage. It's unlikely. That's probably very low percent, like 1%, 2%. So I wouldn't be too concerned. And congrats, and obviously make sure you negotiate that offer. My profile for resume is not getting enough traction. Okay. It's not getting noticed enough. I tried both Google and Microsoft. Any suggestions? I do have a resume template. go to my website, practiceinterviews.com, free resources. There's a resume template. Read the article associated with it. It is a good resume is critical, but remember, a good networking strategy can also be really helpful. Curious around L5 customer engineer of where to start negotiations. Unfortunately, you'd have to tell me location. That's going to vary greatly market to market, and I know I'm pretty far behind. Can I prepare using Python language for a SWE role interview, or do I need to be proficient in C/C++? You should be able to prepare in Python. I mean, Python's one of the most common languages, so I can't see why. Double check with your recruiter unless the role was specifically looking for C or C++, which is less common now. I would think Python is fine, but double check with your recruiter. Actually, I don't know if this banner. Oh, I shut off my banners. So just go to practiceinterviews.com. It's one of the top items on practiceinterviews.com will be the Slack sign up. It's really, really simple. Okay. Sweet preparation time. Really depends on you. I'd like to give a little bit more prep time just to build some of those foundational coding skills. But it's really up to you and knowing your current skill set. Your profile and resume. Okay, so we answered that one. I made it through the on-site interview. I'm currently in the team matching interviews. Any tips? Strong answer to tell me about yourself. Great excitement and enthusiasm. Stand and have great questions prepared. And I love questions about them. What do you love about the role, the company? What's the coolest thing you're working on? What are some of the projects that get you most excited? Positive, positive, positive. Just my approach, okay? I have a Google Digital Marketing Apprenticeship interview on the 21st. Thanks for your videos on the Googliness and leadership. You are welcome. Practiceinterviews.com. Slack sign up is one of the top links at the top, okay? Hi, Jeff. I have an offer from Google, but level and comp were lower than expected. So recruiter told me I can revisit a couple months later. We verbally talked about revisiting in August. Feel kind of nervous now on whether this will happen or not. Well, I mean, how much did you push on the negotiation side? Did you really, really push? Because that would be kind of a curious item for me. I'd want to know how hard you pushed and like how far off the comp expectations. Yeah, because I wouldn't want you to give up the role if the comp was pretty close. How hard is it to get a job at Google EMEA? You're based in the US, but interested in jobs in EMEA. They do, but again, I'll give the same advice I gave a few minutes ago. Get a job in the US, spend a couple more years in the US, and then transfer to Europe. I mean, that's by far the easiest path. Otherwise, it's going to be much more difficult. I hope that helps. The recruiter wants to push me towards being brought in for an on-site. We've only had one phone screen interview for a YouTube role. Okay, keep us posted, please. Thank you. Hi, Jeff. Currently, I was down level to L3 in an on-site loop due to borderline feedback for L4 and a phone screen. Okay, let's see a follow-up here. That's okay. Just remember, as long as the comp is aligned, that's something that I want you to focus in on. If you should be at that next level, you'll get promoted quickly as long as you put in the work. I want to quickly pause. We're at a minute and 30, or an hour and 33, not a minute and 33. I'm going to continue to go pretty quickly. We'll get through all these questions. I just want to give some prompts. If you use the discount code NOW, NOW in all caps, you get 100 off of our interview mastery course until 11:59 Pacific time today. We have interview coaching and negotiation coaching at practiceinterviews.com. We also have that Slack sign up. We have 9 free resources on our free resources page. If you like what we're doing today, smash that like button. If you've never subscribed, consider subscribing. All right, back to it. Hi, Jeff. What should I pay attention during organizational strategy? Okay, so organizational strategy is going to be all about your ability to look at data and analytics and drive items with data and analytics, and then strong collaboration skills. Do not forget about those other critical stakeholders. It's going to be so important. I completed initial ABP interviews last week, feeling hopeful to move on to the next step. Will team match be next? What questions can I expect aside from great energy and questions? Any other tips? No other tips than the ones I've mentioned, but team matching should be next. And just remember, for ABPs, it can take quite a long time. Got an interview for a position at Google as a product analyst. How can I prepare the best, please? Is there any material specifically for this role on your website? The free resources page, I have practice questions that are analyst driven. Remember, you're just going to go in with that analytical mindset, data and analysis. You're going to think strongly on collaboration. Then you're going to bring a little bit of that product lens in as well. Have tomorrow an HR interview with Google. What's a quick tip I can give you? Okay, and this is for a test engineer. Okay, so with HR, it should be very casual. Make sure you're on time, that you communicate really well, and be ready for any like really simplistic technical questions, but they're not going to really throw anything at you, or shouldn't. On time, great communication skills and enthusiasm. That's really all you need for the HR interview. Hey Jeff, I'm from Indonesia. Awesome. Watching your channel since I got an invitation from Google, but my experience not enough back then. What do you think I'm applying for a position outside of my country? I think it's tough. It doesn't mean not to do it, but just know the countries that it's easier to move to and harder to move to. And that just takes a little bit of Google research. And I always push back on this. I know there are some markets that are smaller hiring markets, and that makes it difficult, but ultimately it's best to get hired in your country and then transfer if possible. Hi, Jeff. I'm looking to apply for an L3 with a start date of September 2023 after I graduate university. How early can I apply for positions? I would apply for an internship. Try and get an internship in the interim. Internships are going to help open doors. But I mean, how early should you apply before graduating? I mean, that would be, probably 2 months away from graduating or something really close. But I would try and get an internship in the interim. Hi, Jeff. I interviewed for a TAM role and did the case study. Okay. And Google interview on the same day a few weeks ago, but haven't heard back. Okay. Follow up right now. 3 weeks to not hear back, totally unacceptable. Okay. Be gracious and kind, but that's unacceptable behavior by the recruiter. Terrible. Just absolutely terrible. I was looking at your videos 2 hours ago, wondering if you get some notifications or something. Crazy you're live now. I think if you subscribe, you should get notifications about new videos and when I go live. I know they changed some of the notification stuff to make it easier for people to shut off so they didn't get spammed. But I am live at 10 a.m. Pacific time every Wednesday. Okay. What do you help prepare for? If it's just the googliness round, like when I prepare my clients, I had a client yesterday, we did just the Gnl interview. We did behavioral and open-ended questions. And we really focus in on the foundation. Again, remember, I only focus in on 3 things: structure, organization, and level of detail. All 3 are critical. And I look strongly. There's lots of nuances in there, but those are the 3 items I look for. But I'll always practice both sides of the coin, so behavioral and open-ended questions. What's the difference between these 3 roles at Google? TPM, PGM, and product manager. So technical program manager and program manager are pretty similar. The technical program manager will just have a heavier technical component, but they're very, very close, almost the same. Product is going to be different, right? Now, product will pay the most, TP followed by a TPM, followed by a program manager, but product's going to be very product driven, product execution, product strategy, etc. I'm interviewing with the hiring manager as a manager for an L6 data analytics people manager role. The recruiter said the interview isn't clearly GCA, RRK, GNL, or something else. What might they be looking for? The hiring manager and their manager are based in India, and I'd be in Mountain View. How does this geo difference impact the interview expectations? It's all the same, Jason. So I just want you to go in, open-minded mindset. With the hiring manager's manager, they're a wild card. And that's kind of what your recruiter's saying. They can ask you anything they want. Be succinct. A tiny bit of a less is more model with a hiring manager's manager conversation. So I pull back just a little bit. but everything else should stay the same. Really pick up on their cues, body language, all that stuff, all the same stuff, but it is a bit of a wild card because they have a little bit more flexibility in those interviews. Be ready for anything. Thanks for the advice. You have a great one as well. Hey, Jeff, hope you're well. Based on yesterday's CEO email, do you see G rescinding offers? Absolutely not. Do not see them rescinding offers that have already been accepted. That would not be good for their brand. So I don't see them doing that. Hi, Jeff. Are you familiar with Pixel EPM roles? Yep. I have an interview with the team and failed. They told me to improve on answering GCA questions. Can you please give me more suggestions on or more practice examples? Well, you can go to the free resources page on practice interviews to get more questions. I don't know how to help you improve because I wasn't there. I mean, my 2 suggestions for GCA are always the same. You have to solve wearing the hat of the role, and you have to follow the CFAS method. Failure on both those items just makes those interviews much, much more challenging. I was interviewing for CE role, and my recruiter called me and said the GCA went well, but said it's a reject. She also said next time I interview for the role, I don't have to do the GCA. Is this common? She said she was not ready to give me written confirmation. So I don't know what's going on there. That just is terrible communication. I can't figure that out. If the GCA interview, you didn't pass it, but you don't have to take it again. Maybe it's collectively all the feedback. I don't know how many interviews you've done. That's really a little bit strange. I literally just finished my interview with Google, watched your videos, and they were a big help. I'm sure I'll have another one. Okay, amazing. Congrats. Keep us posted. Hi, Jeff. College math major. What kind of project do Google look for in a resume? Proficient in Python, C++, and JavaScript. What should I do to stand out? Go use that resume template on practiceinterviews.com. That should help. But in terms of standing out, like, it's hard. You just want to try to push for those internships, and with this kind of background in coding, you should be able to maybe open a door for an internship for sure. Is there some way to check if my resume is up to the mark? I'm simply not getting any calls through resume matches. The JD has all the keywords. I mean, for me, the biggest piece is a bulleted summary. Again, we have that template on practiceinterviews.com, but sometimes it's just not enough to be applying. Got to be networking. We got to try and find referrals. That's not always an easy strategy, but sometimes it's just applying is not enough. Been at Google for a few months now, and your videos and content were a huge help during my interviews. Amazing. Thank you so much for letting us know. I love it when people come back and let us know. Just got rejected from survey operations coordinator role. Just want to say thank you because your content really helped me prepare. Much love from Maryland. Thank you so much. Keep at it, right? Like a high percentage of people who land any role, they won't get it the first time, but keep preparing, keep practicing, really think back and reflect on what you could have done better, and definitely keep watching the videos. Thanks. Hi. You are welcome. Hi, Jeff. I just want to thank you. I now work at Google, and I can credit your videos as having been super helpful in the process. Amazing. Okay, our numbers are very, very good today. I know we're not keeping track of the numbers, but it's definitely 10 plus people have come back, and I really appreciate that and wish you the best of luck. Do hiring manager statement of support also include the level they are recommending? They should be supporting the level. Yeah, absolutely. There shouldn't be any ambiguity there. They should be supporting you at a certain level. That's correct. That doesn't mean that hiring committee or the offer team will approve that level, but they should be supporting you at a level. Just wanted to follow up. You asked about the Anchor and L3 suite. You said 250. That's total comp. You go a little higher than 250. You go 262. I don't like round negotiation numbers. It should be 252, 500 or 263, 430. That's why you use the offer template and the free resources on practiceinterviews.com and run those numbers to get the base, the bonus, and the equity, so you come up with a really unique number. We shouldn't be anchoring at round numbers. It tends to be less effective. Hey, Jeff, interview for a technical recruiter role. If I'm not selected, do I need to wait a few months? Typically, you need to wait about a year. But if we go in with this mindset, if I'm not selected, what can I do in the future? That's not going to happen. You are going to get selected. And we have to create that mindset in the interviews or we won't get hired. It's just, I had no reason to believe that Google was going to hire me as a technical recruiter. I only had like 4 years of experience and I had been recruiting software engineers for like 3 months, 6 months. So, but I did believe one thing. I did believe that I would get the job, and that was everything. So prepare and practice, but trust that you'll get the job. But it's usually a year cool down if you don't get it, okay? Passed HC, L4, with 3 years of experience. I had team match with a team before my recruiter sent my information to HC. They reorged after I passed, and I lost the spot on the team. My recruiter is now putting me through more team matching, but should I be concerned? If I do get to the offer stage after finding a new team, what should I expect for fair salary negotiation? Okay, I don't know the level. I don't know the, well, no, I do know the level, L4, but I don't know the role and I don't know the location, and those are critical for me to help you. So if you want to come back and let us know. I finished my on-site interview on 6/22. I hear back from the recruiter on 7/8 that I'd receive an update by next week. It's been 2 weeks. Let's follow up again. Graciousness and kindness. Can I prepare using Python language for a SWE interview? Okay, so we answered that question. Python is probably the most common language, so I'm sure it's fine, but just double click with your recruiter that the role doesn't want C or C++. Hiring freeze being reported today. What are your thoughts? Hiring slowdown. You need to be really careful with that word. It's not a freeze, it's a slowdown, and I think they're still going to hire a ton of people. Huge global organization. It's just, it's going to be slow, but it's not going to be that slow, in my opinion. Thanks for all the hard work. Thank you for showing up. Had RRK redo, and I don't know what the second one is. I should hear back later today or tomorrow for panel, customer engineering, New York. Would this be a good time to ask for level before the final? You can always ask for level, but if we're asking for level, let's guess. Let's say, I just want to confirm level. I believe that this is an L4, L5 position. Can you confirm that? Because if we give a range and we say, I believe, and if they're like, I can't confirm, say, I know that interview feedback determines level, but you know the level range. Is this an L4, L5 position? L5, L6. So give them a range and push back if they don't give it to you. But yeah, it's always okay to ask, always. Forgot to say thank you. Made it this far because of your videos. I owe you. Okay. Well, thanks so much for just coming back and letting us know. Isn't Google worried about losing top talent because of a long hiring process? They're constantly concerned about it. Their process is terrible. It's too long. It needs to be totally, nobody's willing to go in, drop a bomb on it, and redo the whole process. And that's what they need to do, in my opinion. But they're trying to make small improvements. But yeah, they are worried about it. Absolutely. Delays do not always mean negative outcomes. Sometimes there's just delays. Okay. Just signed my remote L5 suite offer last night. Awesome, Patrick. Thank you so much for letting us know. We might be hitting a record today for people letting us know. It's definitely a big number, so I appreciate it. What should be the strategy to get a non-IT job in Google? Well, ideally you get referred in, you network in last as application, and then you just got to prepare and practice like crazy. And ideally you have some role alignment. Yeah, I mean, junior product manager, again, remember product's super hot. So you have to figure out ways to distinguish your skill set, and you have to be practicing product questions as much as possible. Try exponent.com, look at those sourced questions. They're great. But hopefully you have a referral or something to distinguish yourself. I think it's really hard to apply and get a product hit unless you have really good product experience. Why would someone get rejected for Google even with a referral through resume matches? And do they have a policy on the feedback? They don't have to give you feedback. Referral submissions get rejected all the time. It's probably because they just had a stronger pipeline of people who are alike or stronger match. That's all. That's all it is. Is Google Ads going to split out of the rest of Google? Which would be the better org to join if it happens? I have a couple of interviews done with ads, LCS analytics team, but HM moved forward with someone else. Might try customer engineer and cloud. Yeah, I don't know that ads would split from Google's core business ever, but anything's possible, and I don't really know. It sounds like you've had some positive feedback, so I would just keep trying. They are different roles, but strong analysis is very similar to a customer engineer. They require good analytical skills, process solving skills, and good people skills, both roles. And from Canada, does Google consider Canadian the same as US citizens? They do not, because they have to bring you across with a visa, but obviously going from Canada into the US is an easier process than coming from some other countries. What is the realistic comp for an L4 program manager in Waterloo, Ontario, and how should I anchor? And do you personally include signing bonus when you tell us comp, or are you excluding it? I mean, I'm just giving you what I believe is a good anchor. I think an anchor for an L4 program manager role, I would be anchoring in the high twos. That's my recommendation. Whether there's a signing bonus or not included in there, I don't really like to calculate that. I like to push sign-ons back into equity, but I think something in the high twos, maybe like 278, 283, 284.5, something like that would be good. Hey, Jeff, got an offer from Google for L4. The initial offer is too less, pushing, as you suggested. Do you think it's wise to join even if low salary? Well, the salary will be low because they're a total comp company. Really focus in on the total comp because that's what they focus in on. Do I think it's good from a long-term perspective to join Google? Yeah, I always tell people, look at me. Look what I'm doing all these years after leaving. The brand is very, very powerful. Hey, Jeff, 2 rounds introduced for Google PM interviews, cross-functional collaboration, and craft and execution. Do you have a few sample videos with the framework? So I would say try exponent.com. They have tons of product manager content. The biggest thing to remember with them is they don't like frameworks, and I do, because I think for us average human beings, we can get very disorganized. The goal is that the frameworks are not too rigid, that they have flexibility, they sound very casual. And then the other big difference on Try Exponent is I don't think your interviewers are always responsive. A lot of times they will not answer your questions. So just anticipate somebody who's not that responsive and maybe build in a framework, but I do really, really like their website. So tryexponent.com. Completed team match and scheduled virtual. Completed team match and scheduled virtual onsite. 7 months of waiting, losing to an internal. Not been given a level from recruiter for a TPM role with Google Play development, NYC in Austin. Do I need to have development examples for this interview? What's the best way to knock it out of the park? All right, Keith, anything that development is like a big word. You've probably helped develop process or strategy or been a part of an initiative that did some development work. So it doesn't have to be 100% aligned. You've been at it for a while, right? You got to continue to do what you're doing, which is prep, practice, and just, I think one of my comments is remove all the questioning and just get to work, right? That's going to be the best piece. There is no doubt about what you need to do. You just need to get into the weeds and get down and dirty and just get to work. I think that's the best advice I can give you. I got to meet with 2 HMs for team placement, and then I was notified info being submitted for a final stage of review. So there's hiring committee, and then there's final offer review. If your packet's really strong, you can skip hiring committee and go to this final offer review. They kind of function in the same way. The recruiter should be much more clear about what's happening, but that's what's happening. Probably a high likelihood of an offer. Obviously, I can't guarantee it, but sounds good so far. Keep us posted. Okay, do you have a good framework for pricing, monetization, strategy questions for Google Product Manager? Okay, so L5 or higher doesn't matter. So for pricing and monetization, I absolutely would want to be thinking about like the goals component, pricing and monetization. I'd also want to understand timeline. I'd want to understand a little bit more about what we were trying to do from a scale perspective, scope perspective. Those are a few of the concepts. You can use the programmatic. You can use the programmatic framework. You can bring a little bit of the technical framework in. But developing these frameworks in the moment, it's probably going to be a little tricky for me, but those are a few of the items. And then with frameworks, remember, lean on your strengths. We should be talking about what we're good at, and that's what we should be doing with the frameworks. How do you keep a project on track? Am I coming into this project in the beginning, middle, or end? Is this a project that I'm leading, or is this a project that somebody else is leading? Is this an internal project or an external project? Is the scope small, medium, or large? Some of those clarifying questions. Then I'd want to understand again, like this is very programmatic, like for project, goals, historical data, timeline, budget, resources, risks, stakeholders, scope, those sorts of items. And then this is where you wear the hat of the role. You make assumptions that are role-based, and then you solve for one of those framework concepts at a time. Is 297 a good total comp for an L5 TPM in Durham? This is the first offer. I plan to negotiate. Yeah, you can definitely negotiate that offer for sure. It can definitely be above this for an L5 TPM. I have some data points on this market, and you can get more. Push for this, okay? Thank you for the great content. What would you recommend for high anchor for L5 CE in Dallas? What about L6? L5 CE, I'd be anchoring into the low fours, and L6, I would anchor more mid to mid high, like 460, 465, something like that. Hi. Google bonuses are at 15% for L3, L4, L5. L6 is a 20% bonus. L7 is 25% bonus. And then it gets higher as you move to the director level. That's for flatline roles. For more sales-driven roles, like a common one for like a customer engineer is 42.86%. But there's other sales roles that can go up to 150%. There's 30%. So sales will be a little different. But those are the typical ones by level. If selected, how can I quote for an analytical lead in CA, master's degree? Recruiter has not informed me. How can you quote? I'm not sure what you mean by quote. 7 years of experience with a master's is going to be a 4 or 5. Thank you so much for the great content. I'm going through the interviews for L7 engagement manager. I heard there'll be an organizational strategy. Any insights on what will be covered? Yeah. You're going to have to be ready for both sides of the coin, open-ended and behavioral. And just at an L7, I want to see big strategy, big vision, big process, long-term perspective, and strong collaboration with internal stakeholders. Applied for Google Apprentice to start in September. What should I expect in my interview, and how should I prepare for it, sir? Since it's not the same interview. Okay, so typically apprenticeships, associate roles are going to lean a little bit more behavioral. So I practice your behavioral answers a little bit more. Obviously, at the apprenticeship level, we can use some more school examples, personal projects, etc. So we can drive on those items as well. I want you to be prepared for the open-ended side, but drive a little bit more towards the behavioral side. Completed your on-site interview. How long does it take to get a response? How will I know if it's going positively for me? So if you haven't heard back in 5 business days, absolutely reach out. I can't tell you how it's going positively for you, but you can always ask, how did I do? I use LinkedIn and received 2 internal referrals from friends that work at Google. Does it matter which one I use as a top referral, head of engineering or TPM? No, I mean, I think I like higher level, but it shouldn't really matter. What's after compensation team after passing HC? Well, you'll be in the negotiation stage, and then I want you to negotiate as hard as possible. Then it'll be a background check, and then you start. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for all your efforts. You got an L4 offer for MLE. Is that an ML engineer in Mountain View, currently negotiating? I gave a really high number as my expectation, possibly out of band. Hopefully it won't hurt my candidacy. It won't. You can always drop a huge anchor, especially at a company, probably Google, I'm assuming. Don't worry about it. They'll bring you down. Now just use that anchor to keep negotiating hard, but dropping a high anchor, it's fine. Don't worry about it. If we book a practice interview, can we use the time to ask more personal questions? Some of my clients, we just brainstorm. That's literally all we do. We just do a brainstorming session, right? But personal questions, I'm happy to answer and work through items with you. I just can't say that I can answer everything or that I'll be always 100% impactful. But again, some of my clients really like the brainstorming piece, and sometimes we'll only cover 1 or 2 questions. It really just depends. Is 230K CAD a good offer for an L4 in Toronto? Okay, and the role is SWE 3 L4 in Toronto. I mean, yeah, I think it's good, but I would continue. Toronto is a very expensive city. So if you haven't negotiated, continue to push on that offer as much as you can. Recruiter approached me and wants to have a 20 to 25 minute call. Expect a very casual conversation. Very casual. Be on time. Communicate effectively. Those are the most important items. What comp should I expect for an L6 TPM position LA? L6 TPM LA. I mean, you definitely should be, mid to high 4s. I mean, it should be really high. TPMs are getting paid a lot right now. So I definitely would probably even want you anchoring into the 5s. It's going to pay pretty well. Thanks for answering. It was, machine learning edge. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, I'm going to go into my sum up stage. If any additional questions come in, I'll answer them today and today only. If you enter the discount code now, NOW, you'll get $100 off our interview mastery course till 11:59 Pacific time today. At practiceinterviews.com, we do interview coaching. We do negotiation coaching. The ROI on the negotiation coaching is crazy. It's hard for me to convince people of that, but I can tell you a lot of people would give that feedback. We have tons of free resources. Join our Slack group. Check out those 9 free resources. I go live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and I do new content videos every other Tuesday. If you like what I did today, smash that like button. If you've never subscribed, consider subscribing. I'm going to answer these last questions, and then I'm going to hop off. Thank you so much. It was a really good and long session today. Alan, thank you so much for being here. What can we anchor? What anchor should we expect for an L6, L7 TPM in London? I have less data in London. So I really want you to look at what are the current SWE roles paying, software engineer roles paying, and it's probably about 85% of those offers. So what does that mean? You should be anchoring at 110%, 115%, but really look at what software engineers are getting paid. It could be 85%, 90%. TPMs are paying really well right now. I'm from Turkey and currently in college, and I'm working on DSA, and I'm very confident in algo questions. Should I try top tech course for my first internship? I'm not sure what that is. I don't have any job experience, and I'm trying as my second or third would be better, since colleges in my country are considered no names compared to top 1 tiers. I don't mind having not experience, would they ignore my application? No. I mean, I think I want you to apply. Know that like wherever you're applying, if it's going to mean international or it's going to require some sponsorship, it's going to be harder, but I don't want you to not apply. Okay. I want you to go after it. And the name of the school is not as important as people think. Hi, Jeff. What would be total comp for a program manager ads, Mountain View? You definitely want to be making into the low threes, so I would anchor in the mid to mid-high threes. What would be the best comp anchor for a L3 functional role and also L5? I don't know what L3 functional role, I'm not sure what that is. L5 business analyst, it would depend on the location. What would be a good anchor for an L4 digital marketing strategist role? Well, we're getting a lot of anchoring questions. Okay, so digital marketing strategist role in Dublin. I mean, Dublin's starting to pay better. Again, I really want you to use the SWE calculator. So what did the last 10 SWEs average make in Dublin? And digital marketing strategist, like times 75%, something like that. And then, of course, that's what you should expect to make. So you're going to have to anchor much higher. I'm trying to prepare for a systems integration interview as part of my final round for an application interview. Do you know if it'll be a systems design? That is 100% a question that you need to ask your recruiter. Okay, make sure you're getting that question answered from them. I can't tell you without the market. I need to know the location. Thank you so much for everything. We appreciate you. Thank you. Still confused with your answer, but your recruiter said you can skip the GCA next time within 6 months later. You finished your on-site RRK. She came back with this. Is it common? This is for a GCP CR role. If your GCA went well and they're telling you that you don't have to take it again, that means the GCA interview went well. But I want them to communicate specifics. Sometimes when we interview well, it means we don't have to do all of them. So it sounds like that one went well, but maybe you have to redo other ones. How can we ask for a location change example from Poland to India based on Google offices? Crush the interviews. Ask when they want to hire you. That's the best time to do it. Thanks for an amazing session today. It was nice to see your smile. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much for your informative videos. Ask how long I should wait before following up with the recruiter. Haven't heard back. A week. Now is the time. Okay, everybody. It's been a long session. I got to hop off now. Thank you so much for being here. I'll be back.